All right, hello everybody. Welcome to this creepy early tutorial. As of recording this, it's February 2026, so you can use that as your reference on how accurate this is or whether or not like that. This is my second time recording this, so hopefully I do a better job. This tutorial is meant for people who know the trick and just want to get better at it, or just need to figure something out, or if you're completely new to this trick, hopefully this tutorial will be great for you. This tutorial is essentially probably going to be very unedited and completely off the cuff, so there's not going to be like great editing or arrows or anything like that to really help like that. But if you do have questions, obviously please ask in the Scooby Discord, or if you leave a comment, I'll try to remember to look at this video frequently so that I can answer those questions. But before we get started, I would say that there's two things. Is one, this is a pretty tricky trick. What a great phrase to say. But, you know, if you find out that the trick is not comfortable for you, which is totally fine, please check out the other guides on speedrun.com. They're like the older routes or the other routes that don't use creepy early. And so if you are just trying to get into speedrunning the game, then, you know, perhaps that could be a better fit for you. It's all up to you though. But the other thing that I would highly recommend getting is the speedrun practice mod called Mystic Practice Mod. I'll leave a link in the description on like the guide to go and get it. It's very straightforward to do, and I'm even running it on console right now through Nintendo. And the only reason why I really think that this is useful is because there's obviously just a few tools to help you learn, but also because in the settings area, I would highly recommend turning on the level specific options. I think that could be very helpful when learning this trick. And you know, if you're on emulator as well, you already have save states, but if you press on the pause menu, the Z button and the R button at the same time, you'll hear a little noise like that. And if you die, which you can do a quick death by doing L and start, then this is where you'll spawn. And that can be very useful because Creepy Early is essentially divided into 4 sort of different sections. That's sort of how I'm labeling it as. And this is just the way that I do Creepy Early. There's a few other jumps and strategies that people use differently. Sorry, I can't really teach you that. I don't know how to do them. But if you are interested in that, then you can check out other runners like Mortal, for example, does totally different things, which in my opinion are more difficult, but maybe it'll work for you. Probably not Jit Jump. That's the jump that you do around here. But nonetheless, let's get started. So as I mentioned, there's sort of 4 different sections that I'm dividing this in. One of them is rope jump, which you'll do down there. The other one is clipping under, like to get under this floorboard of the docks. Then there's clipping into the rocks that you see under these floorboards. Then there's climbing up to then reach the load zone, because that's the whole premise, is that you're going to get to this load zone before you enter these fishy levels and the pier levels and the coast levels, or the manor levels, really. It skips a bunch of stuff. So let's start with rope jump. So I will just show the invisible walls here, thanks to the practice mod. And so the entire premise of this trick is that we're trying to get out of bounds and get onto this rope, but just on the other side. And as you can see, this invisible wall kind of like sticks out, it sort of juts out, and we need to jump around that. And this jump is easier than it looks. I actually think that this is probably the part of the trick, so it seems, that most runners struggle with. So if you're struggling with it too, totally don't feel bad about it. I mean, honestly, it's still something that you could mess up even if you've played this game way too long like I have. Yeah, I guess I'll start by just sort of showing what we're doing with the walls open. There, that is exactly what we're trying to do, except you just won't be able to see the walls when you're actually doing it. But the first thing about rope jump that I think is super important is usually people have a height problem. So you already know this, but in this game, you know, if you tap A, you jump lower. If you hold A, you jump higher. And you really want to make sure that you get the maximum jumps. And I actually have a visual cue that might be helpful for you to figure out like when your max jump is actually occurring, like the apex of your jump. But it's still nice to even just like jump and just kind of get a feel for like the rhythm of what it's like to have like a nice full max jump, because that's exactly what you want. So the first part about rope jump though is that you need to get down to here. You need to get down onto that ledge, and of course I just hit the part that obviously you can sort of mess up, but you want to get down to here. And obviously it's slanted a little bit, so you can't stick around there for very long like that and sort of like hug the ledge a little bit. But all you really need to do is you just need to kind of like run down there, and then you can just hold A and do like a big single jump, and you should kind of just land on the ledge if you're holding down left on the stick. Now, as you've seen me do, there's like a little thingy here that you can sometimes land on. The way to get out of this is you sort of just have to shimmy the control stick like so. Hopefully I do it. Yeah. So you can kind of shimmy the control stick a little bit to help you get on that ledge down there if you get stuck. So optimally, you want to stay more further to the right when you go and do this trick, because as you can see, that ledge was sort of in the middle. So if you stay closer to the right, that could be a lot more helpful. But now, as you can see, what I'm messing up is actually jumping to the rope. Because with this wall in the way, it'll either block you or you're rubbing up against the wall, which means that you're probably not really taking the most optimal turn in the world to get the distance you need to get to the rope. And I have two sort of visual cues that I personally like to use to help me with that, and then eventually you can develop the muscle memory where you don't even really need to rely on these things. And so one of them is that when you're down here on this ledge, I wait for Scooby to go all the way out. When you see Scooby's full body, because you're gonna be, when you're on that ledge, you're gonna hold down and you're gonna have to jump out. When you see Scooby's full body, that is the time to jump. And the reason why that's sort of important is that you can actually go out way further than you think. Not only because the ledge just goes out further than you think, but also because you have coyote frames, which means that you can jump even after you walk off of a ledge. And that's extremely helpful. So you want to wait for Scooby's full body to be out here. So then you get enough distance to clear the wall. But then the other problem is actually once you get around the wall, how are you supposed to get up to the rope? And so that is the other visual cue that I like to use, which is basically the floor here. Like you see how it kind of, there's like this line here, because that's sort of like the corner of the floor. I actually really like to use that as my visual cue to know, like, okay, my single jump is at its full height. That's when I need to jump again. And usually that's also when I make my stick turn. Instead of going down, that's when I move to like up left, which is, I believe, the motions that I do. That's why I'm glad I have this input viewer here so that it'll help you see what I do, because I sort of just do it from muscle memory now. But yeah, let me do it one more time. So like I wait for Scooby to come out, I do my first jump, and then once Scooby's sort of at the level of the floor, and you don't like, rub up against the wall or anything else like that, you should have the height to then turn the stick and get onto the rope. And obviously you still want to hold A for that second double jump as well. Again, you want all the height you can get. There's no harm in being too high. It's kind of a weed joke. Anyway, not really. But in terms of where you land, you can land up here, but I usually like to aim for sort of this part of the rope because, as you can see, it's a little bit lower, but it's not as low as down here, but this is sort of really far away. So it's probably not likely you're gonna have the distance to get all the way over here. So around here is a pretty nice bet. It's lower, even though it's a little further away, it's still possible for you to reach it. But yeah, I guess I'll just do rope jump a few more times. But usually it's those three factors of like, is it a height factor? Is it a turning factor? The turning thing you can kind of just get a feel for, and thankfully with those visual cues, hopefully, and especially knowing how to traverse this part where you're like walking out from underneath, because you can't see Scooby here, but now you can, so that's your cue to sort of jump. hopefully you'll find that helpful. Those are the visual cues I like to use. And I mean, this jump is hard. This jump is a lot harder than you think it would be. And again, I think this is where most runners sort of like have trouble, which is kind of good because then you sort of get the more difficult part out of the way. Now, this jump may not be hard to learn like some of the later things can possibly be for you. But don't worry, we'll still break it step by step. This is still like, you don't want to undermine this jump, perhaps. So anyway, because I'm on the practice mod, I'm going to pause the game and do R or ZR. So now I'm just going to load right here because now we're going to go to the next part where we're trying to clip under to get to the rocks over to the right. So when you get up here, I like to jump on this pole, but you don't want to jump on this pole because even though I could stand on it right now, usually you'll probably just like fall. So I like to skip that pole entirely. I like to jump all the way over here, and then I jump onto these wooden X's here. And basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to get down to here. Now you can't jump to it like that. I personally like to do this thing where I sort of run off of this wooden X, and when Scooby passes this pole right here is when I turn my control stick upwards, so then I just land down here without a problem. And don't worry, the invisible wall is right here, so you can, this is sort of like a little safe spot, but you don't want to go too far to the right because then the wall ends. So and I'll show you the way that I'll show you the way that I get down here. So there we go. That's what I like to do, just so then I don't have to jump. But obviously you can still mess it up. It's hard to do it when you're like, you know, just showing it individually. Like I'm so used to doing it in one like fluid motion. But obviously you don't need to do that. That's sort of just like a little mini optimal faster thing. You can, if you want, just jump down here, but the death plane is right there. So you just want to be a little cautious. But no matter how you get down here, the name of the game here, I'm gonna do ZR again. What you want to do is that there's this invisible wall and then there's this pole, and you want to clip through it and reach these rocks. And this looks kind of like daunting, but if you break it down, it's not going to be too bad. So if you are already familiar with certain tricks in this game, like SCS or even Shark Room Skip, how this game works usually with clips like this is that you want to rub up against a wall for a little bit, and then you'll clip through. But this has a little extra step where you want to kind of rub into it and like start charging into it, but you need to change your stick direction rather quickly. So what I like to do is I sort of rub up against this wall and then I hold upright, and then I kind of go off the audio cue of Scooby's run, and there's sort of a point in Scooby's run where like when it loops, like it goes and then it goes again. That's sort of like the audio cue that I kind of like to do. So like when you hear the charge happen for long enough, that's when you know to go from up left sort of to like left to almost like in between up left and left, if you have notches on your controller. But I think also what I've done is that if you hold upright and then do a quick thing like this while you're charging, I might cut this out because this might be completely just myth. Yeah, same thing. You can do that as well. So if you just shift your control stick like that, that might be easier for most people to understand. Then you can clip through like that and you'll be okay. Holding up left, up real quick, you're good to go. Now this jump is probably gonna be pretty daunting. And honestly, what I like to do is I sort of like, when I charge, I don't hold R, because what that's gonna do is that it's gonna give me a skid, which means that I'm gonna have probably more frames to actually get my jump out. You sort of want this trick, you're sort of anticipating the fact that you're going to clip through, because if you don't, the death plane's right there. So anytime that I do this trick, I'm sort of anticipating that I get it, because if I don't get it, then it's like, oh no, I just jumped through the wall. and then I get to do it again, but I'm still alive, and the run's still good. Sometimes though, because in this trick you turn over to land on here. Sometimes what I accidentally do is I don't get the clip, and then I go around and I die because the wall just ends right here. But yeah, so once you clip through, you want to jump. And obviously you want to hold down your A presses, but you're going to go from holding like around up left to hold... Oh, I had the music glitch. There we go. Sorry about that. But you want to go from holding up left to going to up right. And so this is also where the practice mod can kind of come in handy. Is that you see like that little... There's like a little platform there. That can kind of come in handy for you to just sort of like get a feel for when to clip out. And then you can kind of progress to like when to jump. And see, like here I'm doing it. I'm like not clipping through, but I'm still anticipating it. That's sort of the way you gotta go. Here, let me turn this off. Cool. So when you clip through, jump and double jump, and you want to roll your stick to upright. Now you can see even like if you jump and you do like a full jump, you still have a lot of time in the air before you could potentially fall down to the death plane, right? And so I think when you realize this, or you do this the first time, you become a lot more relaxed. You're like, oh, okay, like this is where the ledge is, sort of. But yeah, so you want to jump into this spot right here, and now you're under the rocks. So you've already gotten like 2 out of the 4 parts of the trick sort of done. In my opinion, although, you know, I struggle with a different part of this trick every day, I feel like this is the part that I actually most consistently mess up. But, you know, that's just a me thing. So if you are having trouble with this more than rope jump, don't feel bad at all. And again, if you'd rather do what Mortal does, where he actually can like jump underneath this wall here, I would highly recommend you go to like his runs, or you can ask anybody in the Discord what they do, and maybe it'll be better than what I do. Whatever works for you. So, but anyway, so once we clip through here, I'm not following my own instruction. Once we clip through here, we're gonna get to this ledge right here, and I think I'm actually going to turn this on again, just so then it'll be a little bit easier, because this is probably where most people are confused. But once you understand how this entire thing sort of works, it's really not terrible. It's just completely different than anything that you would normally do in this game, so it just seems very strange when you're just looking at it. But hopefully with me breaking this down, it'll be a lot easier. So basically what this wall climb that we're about to do, it utilizes a thing that are called neutral jumps, or like forward neutral jumps and things like that. Because actually what's happening is sometimes you want to do a jump into the wall to climb it, where you just hold up and you jump, or you do a single jump. But sometimes you see runners do this thing where it's like they get the forward jump, but they don't actually move forward. Like they get the forward animation, but they don't actually move forward, and they're just going neutral. So that's called like a forward neutral jump and things like that. And so we're doing a combination of these different kinds of jumping to help us climb the wall. And the way that I do it is actually, I think, the easiest way to do it, because you really only need to do 3 jumps. And they're honestly pretty, I guess, straightforward in concept. This, again, maybe this explanation is not even necessarily needed, but I thought I would clarify that just so then you understand. We're just doing different kinds of jumps to help us climb the wall as fast as we can. So, this is usually around the spot that you will be when you clip through that invisible wall that I just showed you. And we're just gonna go over here. You can just hold up left, and all you gotta do is tap B, and you're clipped through. Poor example. But all you gotta do is tap B, and then you're pretty much good. You don't need to go neutral or anything like that, but you know, if you do like, actually I should make a little thing here, there you go. But, you know, it'll set you up for the next jump that you need to do. And then you'll, you know, kind of stick in the wall. But anyway, so yeah. You're going to land around here. You're going to hold, like, up left. And you're just going to tap B. Then, you're going to hold forward. You're not going to hold R. And you're just going to jump. Like that. Then, what we're going to do is a running neutral jump. So, we're going to hold down the R button, and then we're going to let go of the control stick and hold A at the same time, like this. There we go. And now you'll be stuck right here. Now, this jump is probably the jump that, personally, I found the most confusing at first, but then when I figured it out, when I did it once, I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. Because what you want to do is you want to do another one of those neutral jumps where we're going to hold up and then we're going to go neutral and press A at the same time. But you want to like delay when you're moving the stick back up. So I guess that's maybe, apologies if I did not clarify with the the running neutral jump here. But like, once you do, I kind of messed up because I held R, oops. You know, so you do this forward single jump here. When you do the running neutral jump, you're gonna go neutral, but then you're gonna hold like forward again, like that. So when you press A, you go neutral, but then when you move up, you hold forward again. So then you don't clip out. My apologies that was not more clear. But you are kind of just here when you actually are in this little spot. And there is this little gray line that you can kind of see that Scooby's by. So hopefully that might be a nice little visual cue. But we're going to follow that same concept again with this third jump where we want to hold up, then we will go neutral, and then we'll hold up again. And we'll press A while we go neutral. But you want to hold neutral longer than you think. Like for this running jump, we basically just did it like super fast. Like it was pretty much instantaneous. Like with this jump here, we just went bam, and then we're back, right? But with this jump, you want to wait a little bit. And the reason why I clipped out was because I waited too long. So if that happens to you, then all you got to do is bring the stick forward a little bit quicker, and there you go. You'll be good. Now, admittedly, because I sort of do this field-based now, I would highly recommend paying attention to my input viewer because I could just be spouting lies of what I think I do compared to what I actually do. But what also can happen here, which I like to do frequently in runs, is I do this forward single jump, I do this running neutral jump, and then when I do this neutral jump, okay, that's not what I expected to happen when I did that. Let me try and recreate it right here, unless I'll just be like a god. There. So I accidentally went like down, like I didn't go up, and that was because I held the stick up too quickly. And if you're in this situation, then all you need to do is do another running neutral jump. Or not. I guess go fuck myself then. I wish I can't recreate it now. But that is sort of like the thing you can do is, like, if you don't get, like this jump and you don't fall out, just do another running neutral jump and you'll be right back in the spot that you were supposed to be in. But this is where you want to ideally end up being. Now, I'm just going to do this multiple times and sort of narrate it out loud, because admittedly, because I'm doing this off the cuff, I feel like I'm just not doing a very good job. So, come over here, up left, tap B, you're in, don't hold R, do a forward single jump, full A press. Then with a full A press, we're going to do a running neutral jump. So we're going to go neutral at the same time we hit A. And when we see Scooby go up, we're going to hold. When we see Scooby elevate, we're going to hold up on the control stick. Cool. Now from this point, we're going to let go of R, and we're going to do another neutral jump where we hold neutral a little longer than we think, and not necessarily maybe press it at the same time. But once you see Scooby go up, you're going to want to hold up. You want to, it's like, you got to delay it a little bit. You know what I mean? I hope that the way that I'm phrasing this is helpful. But it's really just these 3 jumps, and 2 of them are neutral jumps. But honestly, 2 of these jumps feel a lot more natural. I mean, you're used to doing this. This is just a single jump. The running neutral jump shouldn't be too crazy. Actually, I wonder, I could test this right now. Maybe you don't necessarily have to hold up and you'll still be okay. Yeah, okay, cool. So you can also not have to worry about holding up with that running neutral jump as well. So forward full single jump, running neutral jump, and then the sort of delayed neutral jump. That time I was too late on holding up. And when I say delay, I really mean like a fraction of a second delay. Okay, so here's the problem that I was talking about earlier. So because I didn't get up, I just had to do another running neutral jump, and then I'm good. And I'll be up here. And I would also pay attention to sort of like the textures that I'm sort of around right now. That can kind of help gauge where you're supposed to be. And if you're able to move around like that, and obviously you don't want to clip out, but that means you're kind of in a good position. I've had it before where like I can like get stuck even without doing like, if you're doing like a running neutral jump, and or like you're doing this jump and nothing really happens, there is like a spot where you just, unfortunately, if you hold down, you can like pop back out of where you clipped from, and you're gonna just have to restart. So like you just have to do that, which is unfortunate, but hey, it's better than dying and you have to start all the way back from the beginning. So hopefully I apologize, that explanation was probably not the most ideal and maybe a lot to take in. So I guess I'll just do it one more time before we move on to finishing the climbing up the wall. So tap B, forward single jump, running neutral jump, and then a sort of delayed neutral jump going back into like the forward position on the control stick. And if I mess up, I just do the running neutral jump again. There we go. So that is probably the most complicated part of this trick. And of course, you know, if you have any questions or hopefully I explained it better, leave a comment, or more better, honestly, is just to go in the Discord. But once you get to this spot, you should be pretty happy because the rest of the trick is pretty straightforward. Now, you don't want to like go super fast because then you'll get stuck and you won't be able to slide along here. You still want to make sure that you're holding up. So like, because I have notches, it's sort of like in between up and up left on the GameCube D-pad. But if you go like that, you're going to fall and you're going to be sad and you're not going to be happy. So you want to make sure that you're still holding up and you don't want to take it too fast. So I might actually make a little thingy-ma-do here. Oh, I guess that doesn't work. Oh well, this isn't too bad to get back to. There we go. So we're gonna slightly go to the right here, and I like to use either the snack box or even like the sandwich as sort of my visual cue. Which you can't really see the sandwich, but there it is by the rope. You see, like, near the warp gate. But you want to get to sort of this position, and you're just gonna do another one of those neutral jumps. So we're gonna go neutral and then hold forward as we're jumping. There we go. And so now we're up here, and if I go in the other direction now, where I'm holding in between up left and up, instead of between up right and up, I'll get to this spot here. And this spot can be a little bit finicky, but ideally you want to have something like this, so then all you really have to do is hold forward and press A, and you could clip through. But, you know, sometimes it's not that simple. Sometimes you need to do another neutral jump to help loosen you up. It seems like in my case, I have to like wiggle the stick a little bit and get into a better position here. But yeah, you'll just pop right through and you'll end up right here. And basically the load zone is just straight ahead of you. Like it's toward like the snack box or whatever. So all you got to do is hold up and just do like some nice full jump, some A presses, and you should just be able to reach it if you just hold straight up. I've missed it before. I think everybody's missed it before. it's not fun when you miss it. But usually I think the problem is that you're thinking more about distance than height. And so you end up actually just jumping underneath the load zone instead. Now I have to go through and do all this again because fun times. Let me just do this to... Nope. Music glitch. There we go. Whoop. There we go. Now we're back here. But yeah, I'll go through that climbing bit again. So yeah, we're gonna hold between up, right, and up. We're gonna slide over to like the snack box, do a neutral jump, slide over to the left, and you can clip through. But it's kind of finicky every single time. If you do it too early, or even just like while you're climbing, what can happen once you're past like this part here is sometimes you just like, if you're like right underneath the sandwich, it's not gonna really work. Or sometimes you might like get stuck like for whatever reason. It's kind of hard to recreate that, but usually anytime you're in a situation where you're like, what the hell is happening? And I can't move, just do a neutral jump. That's usually the cure for that ailment. When in doubt, neutral jump is sort of what I like to say. But yeah. See, like here, it's like, why aren't I jumping or doing anything? Like maybe a neutral jump will be helpful. No, maybe I need to like shimmy my control stick a little bit and hold more to the left. And sure enough, that's kind of what the problem was. It's a little finicky, but ideally at that point, as long as you don't hold down or maybe in a straight like cardinal like east-west direction, you probably won't pop out and you'll be okay. I really wish that I could show you sort of just like what all this looks like under here, just so you get an idea of what exactly we're doing, but you're not going to see it in the run anyway. But yeah, you have the height that you really need. Just you want to do full A presses just to make sure, and don't worry as much about distance. But now you'll be down here and you'll have done creepy early. So in my opinion, the easiest and fastest as well possible way. Well, I guess technically not the fastest, but it's certainly the easiest way that Creepy Early has probably ever been in its entire life. So you've got that going for you. And hopefully you learned something from this video. I hope that has helped. You know, heck, you know what? I'll do it one more time in its fullness, just so you can sort of see how all the pieces work together, in like an actual run or anything like that. So we did rope jump there. Oops, see? You gotta presume that you're gonna get it. Then we're gonna do forward single jump, running neutral jump, this quick jump, get up, flip through here, and there we go. So now you know all 4 parts of it. And that's what it'll look like once it's all together. And if, you know, I don't need to say all this stuff. I was about to go on a whole long tangent that nobody really needed to hear. So, hopefully this helps. Again, this is sort of off the cuff, so sometimes I feel like I was kind of rambling. But if you have any questions, leave a comment. Do the Discord, blah, blah, blah. You've heard all this stuff. Again, highly recommend the practice mod for this trick, so I'll leave a link in the description of how you can install that, and I'll leave a link to the Scooby Speedrunner Discord if for some reason you're not in that. And maybe I'll leave some other links as well. So, thank you for watching. Hope this is helpful. Bye.